Before diving into this incredible story, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell. Every story here has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. In Manhattan, in a luxurious mansion overlooking Central Park, the morning light slid through the vast windows, illuminating the carved wood furniture and gently twinkling crystal chandeliers. In the main living room, two twin babies, Ethan and Liam Whitman, aged 3, sat in their strollers side by side, eyes wide open, but unable to put a foot on the ground. Their father, Richard Whitman, 42, a billionaire and influential businessman, watched them with a combination of frustration and concern. He had tried everything, the most renowned doctors, the most innovative therapies, the most sophisticated toys, nothing had worked. Every attempt to get Ethan and Liam to walk ended in tears or a fearful withdrawal. Elizabeth, his wife, beautiful and elegant, but herself marked by anxiety, paced the living room, holding a nearly cold cup of coffee in her hands. "Richard, I don't know what to do anymore. They'll never work if they continue to feel so rushed." Richard pursed his lips. He wanted to be patient, but his businessman's mind, accustomed to quick, concrete results, made it difficult. He had built an empire through control and discipline, and now he was powerless against his own children. That day, a new nanny arrived, recommended by a trusted acquaintance, Maya Johnson, a 28-year-old black woman with a sweet smile and bright, intelligent eyes, walked through the door with confidence and calm. Unlike the previous candidates who seemed stressed or intimidated by the situation, Maya seemed almost calm, as if she knew exactly what to do. Richard eyed her warily, skeptical but intrigued. Elizabeth, for her part, felt a glimmer of hope. Maya looked at Ethan and Liam, who were staring at her curiously. She knelt down to their level, without haste, without imposing words, and simply whispered, "Hello, little explorers. I'm here to play with you." There was a silence, then a small smile appeared on Ethan's lips. Liam followed her with his gaze. For the first time in 3 years, Richard felt a spark, as if something, finally, might change. Maya had just entered their lives, and with her, the promise of a miracle no one would have believed possible. The door to the manor opened with a slight creak, and Maya Johnson entered, a single suitcase in hand and a backpack slung over her shoulder. Her step was steady but gentle, as if each movement was measured so as not to disturb the space around her. Richard Whitman studied her from his leather armchair, crossing his arms. He had seen dozens of nannies pass by, some impatient, others panicked, but none had managed to make the slightest connection with Ethan and Liam. Elizabeth Whitman, for her part, stepped forward with a polite but hopeful smile. "Maya, welcome. We've heard great things about you." Maya inclined her head slightly. "Thank you, Ms. Whitman. I'm happy to be here." Her voice was soft but firm, each word spoken with confidence. She turned to the twins. Ethan and Liam, who were playing with colorful blocks, looked up at her shyly. Maya knelt down to their level, placing her hands on the soft carpet. "Hello, little explorers. I'm Maya. And you, what are your names?" Silence followed. Ethan slowly raised a hand toward Maya, while Liam remained motionless, observing the new presence curiously. Richard exchanged a glance with Elizabeth. The children's reaction was different. More attentive, less fearful. Maya smiled slightly and took a few simple toys out of her bag, wooden blocks, an illustrated book, and a small stuffed animal. "Look, I brought something for us to have fun with together." She didn't force anything. She just invited, patiently and lightly. The next few minutes were silent but intense. Ethan leaned in slightly to touch the book, while Liam mimicked his brother, a faint smile playing on his lips. Maya continued to speak softly, describing the colors and shapes, encouraging every gesture. She didn't rush or command, she guided gently. Richard, standing behind the sofa, sensed something unexpected, a newfound curiosity about this woman. Every smile exchanged, every gesture of encouragement seemed to have an immediate effect on his children. He realized that this approach, the patience, the gentleness, the respect for the twins' rhythm, was exactly what no other nanny had understood. Elizabeth, moved, placed a hand on his arm. "Richard, look at them." For the first time, they seemed truly attentive to someone. Richard nodded, still skeptical but impressed. He understood that Maya wasn't just a nanny. She brought something different, something he hadn't expected, a real connection, a real presence. And deep down, he felt a spark of hope, that his children could finally overcome their limitations. That day, Maya didn't just enter the mansion. She entered the twins' daily lives, and with her, the promise of change that would gradually transform the entire Whitman family. The first few days after Maya's arrival were marked by silent observation. Ethan and Liam often remained motionless when placed on the floor, refusing to take a single step, even to reach a desired toy. Richard and Elizabeth had tried every method taught by therapists: constant encouragement, stimulating toys, and even gentle persuasion. Nothing seemed to work. Maya, on the other hand, never rushed the children. She simply sat a few feet away, watching them attentively and patiently. She noted every detail: how Ethan moved his fingers, how Liam tilted his head when he was intrigued, and how their eyes lit up when someone mentioned an object or color they liked. One afternoon, as Ethan stared at a wooden train set on the carpet, Maya quietly approached. "Look, Ethan, the train wants to move forward. What if we give it a little help?" she said, rolling the toy train toward him. It reached out, then stepped back. Maya said nothing, just smiled and nodded. She understood something essential: the fear of failure, the fear of disappointing their parents or being rushed, was stronger than the urge to walk. That evening, Richard, watching the scene from the doorway, found himself speaking quietly. "How does she do it? She doesn't shout, she doesn't force them, and yet they listen to her." Maya, aware of Richard's presence, simply replied, "Children aren't physically stuck, Mr. Whitman. Their bodies know how to walk. It's the mind that's afraid. We need to show them that walking can be fun and safe, not a requirement." Elizabeth nodded, moved. Finally, someone who understands. Over the next few days, Maya implemented small, playful routines. Cushion courses for bending and crawling, songs accompanied by simple gestures, and stories told with figurines. Each exercise was presented as a game, never as a chore. The twins began to smile more, reach out, and even attempt to stand up a little more often, encouraged by Maya's gentle tone and genuine enthusiasm. Richard felt a subtle but powerful transformation. He had always believed that providing the best possible physical environment was enough to make everything work. But now he understood that what was missing was patience, understanding of emotions, and that rare ability to guide without imposing. Maya, watching Ethan and Liam laugh and try to walk, thought silently, "Soon they will take their first steps, but only when the moment is right. Not a minute before." And it was there, in the heart of Whitman Manor, that the magic slowly began to take hold. Mornings at Whitman Manor now had a different rhythm. Maya always arrived before the twins, setting down her things and preparing the play area. Colorful rugs, a few stuffed animals, and simple toys were arranged in a way that invited the children to explore, but never forced them to move. That morning, Ethan and Liam seemed more attentive than usual. Maya knelt down beside them and took out a small picture book. "Look, there's a little bunny here. How does it move its legs?" she whispered, moving the bunny's arms. Ethan, intrigued, reached out to touch the book. Liam, hesitant, first looked at his brother, then took a tentative step toward Maya. Maya smiled softly and clapped lightly. "Well done, Liam. You just took a step all by yourself." She didn't shout or rush, but her words were warm and filled with pride. Ethan and Liam turned their faces toward her, their eyes shining with a mixture of amazement and curiosity. For the first time in a long time, they seemed to recognize that walking could be fun and rewarding. Richard, watching from the doorway, felt an unexpected emotion, pride mixed with wonder. He had never seen his children react this way to an adult other than himself or Elizabeth. He sensed that something unique was happening. In the following days, Maya spent time playing with them non-stop. Every smile she received, every gesture she encouraged, strengthened the twins' confidence. They began reaching out to be picked up, imitating her gestures, repeating her words. Ethan took his first steps toward her, wobbly, and Liam, encouraged by his brother, tried to do the same. One evening, after a long day of games and laughter, Maya sat on the rug and watched the exhausted but happy children. "You both look amazing. I'm proud of you," she whispered. Ethan and Liam snuggled up to her, and Richard, hiding behind the couch, felt a warmth in his chest he hadn't felt in years. For the first time, he realized that walking wasn't just a physical challenge for his children, but an emotional one. The bond Maya created went far beyond words and techniques. She had found a way to give them confidence, to show them they were capable. And this budding bond was the first stone of the miracle that would soon transform the Whitman twins' lives. It was an autumn evening, and the Whitman mansion shone brightly under the crystal chandeliers in the living room. Richard had hosted a dinner party for a few business partners and close friends, but his mind was elsewhere. He kept thinking about the twins' progress over the past few days. Ethan and Liam seemed more confident, but Richard remained skeptical. After all, a few steps in the living room didn't mean they'd be able to walk normally. Maya, true to her method, had prepared the children before dinner. She dressed them in matching little outfits, then invited them to play in the living room near the table. Silently, she led them to a small path strewn with cushions and toys. Then, with a natural gesture, she took out one of the children's favorite stuffed animals. "Ethan. Liam, look what I found. Who wants to come get her?" she said gently. At that precise moment, something unexpected happened. Ethan, hesitant at first, stretched out his little legs and took a step, then a second, until he reached Maya, his eyes shining and his face lit up with a radiant smile. Liam, inspired by his brother, followed slowly, wobbly but determined. Richard, sitting at the table, was speechless. He had never seen his children walk spontaneously like this, let alone in a social situation. The guests exchanged surprised glances, some clapping shyly, but Richard noticed none of this. His attention was entirely fixed on Maya and the twins. Elizabeth, hands over her mouth, felt tears well up in her eyes. "Richard, look at them, it's Maya, it's because of her." Maya just smiled, humble and unassuming. She gently placed the children on the mat, congratulating them with gentle words rather than loud exclamations. "You did this all by yourself. I'm proud of you." This small demonstration had surprised Richard as much as it had amazed the children. For him, it wasn't just a physical step, it was proof that the bond Maya had created, based on trust, patience, and love, was beginning to bear fruit. He realized he had underestimated the importance of emotional security in his children's development. This dinner, intended to impress her partners, actually became an intimate and magical moment for the Whitman family. Maya had transformed a simple meal into a life lesson. Sometimes, patience and understanding are more powerful than any imaginable method or technology. Richard, watching Ethan and Liam laugh and walk towards Maya, finally understood that a miracle was happening, and that it was coming from the nanny. The next morning, the sun filtered through the mansion's large windows, creating golden patterns on the shiny parquet floor. Maya had prepared a surprise for the twins. She had arranged colorful cushions, small wooden ramps, and a few toys in a straight line, creating a veritable little adventure course in the middle of the living room. The idea wasn't to force them to walk, but to turn each step into a fun and stimulating game. "Look, adventurers," Maya said excitedly. "Your mission is to cross the cloud bridge and retrieve the little star at the end of the path." Ethan and Liam burst out laughing. The word adventure seemed to trigger something in them. The obstacles were no longer scary, but exciting. Ethan took the first step onto the cushions, then Liam followed, holding his teddy bear's hand tightly for courage. Richard, watching from the kitchen, couldn't help but smile. He remembered all those mornings when the children stood there motionless, paralyzed by fear and uncertainty. And now, thanks to Maya, they confidently overcame every obstacle, sometimes stumbling, sometimes laughing, but always moving forward. Maya gently encouraged them, "Well done. You're almost there, just one more step." Every word was a positive reinforcement, every smile a reward. The twins seemed fascinated by the concept of play. Walking was no longer a chore, but an exploration. Elizabeth entered the living room, drawn by the peals of laughter. She watched her children complete the course, amazed by their enthusiasm. "This is amazing," she murmured. "Maya found the key. They love it." Richard approached, impressed by the method. He realized that the key wasn't just patience or gentleness, but creativity and the ability to make each step fun and engaging. Maya didn't just inspire children to walk, she transformed learning into fun, and fear into curiosity. That day, Ethan and Liam completed the entire course several times, laughing and shouting with joy at each success. Richard felt a deep emotion. He had never felt so much pride and gratitude towards someone else. Maya, humble and focused, simply smiled, satisfied to see the children blossom and gain independence. For Richard, one thing was becoming clear: Maya wasn't just a nanny. She was a quiet but powerful force, capable of changing her children's lives through patience, love, and a touch of imagination. And in the twins' hearts, walking began to become a real pleasure, the beginning of an adventure that would transform their entire lives. As the weeks passed, the Whitman mansion buzzed with renewed energy. Every morning, Maya prepared a new play area, renewing the courses and challenges for Ethan and Liam. The colorful cushions, small wooden bridges, and carefully arranged toys seemed magical to the twins. The fear that paralyzed them had almost disappeared, replaced by growing curiosity and enthusiasm. That morning, Maya invited them to cross a miniature bridge to reach a box filled with small, colorful balls. "Come on, adventurers. You can do it." The simple but heartfelt words were enough to inspire them to move forward. Ethan took one step, then another, while Liam, encouraged by his brother, practically broke into a run. Both boys completed the course with laughter and exclamations of joy. Richard, watching discreetly from the hallway, felt his heart clench with emotion. Every step they took seemed to represent months, even years, of frustration and worry. For him, seeing his children flourish like this was more precious than any professional achievement. He realized he had underestimated the power of patience, love, and creativity in parenting. Elizabeth, sitting on the couch, couldn't stop smiling. "Look at them, they're walking more and more without holding back," she murmured. Maya simply nodded, watching the children with pride and serenity. Maya knew that every step forward, however small, strengthened the twins' confidence. She never rushed them, but celebrated every gesture, every step, every smile. The children had learned that walking wasn't a chore, but an adventure full of fun and discovery. Richard began spending more time with them, attending play sessions, laughing with them, and even participating in the courses. He felt that his presence, combined with Maya's, gave the twins a sense of security and encouragement that no therapy or gadget could provide. One evening, as Ethan and Liam drifted off to sleep after a day filled with laughter and games, Richard watched Maya put away the toys and felt a deep sense of gratitude. "Maya, thank you, for everything you do for them," he whispered. Maya smiled at him, humble and gentle. "Mr. Whitman, the real credit goes to those little adventurers. They found their courage, and I was just there to guide them." That evening, Richard understood something essential. Walking was a victory for Ethan and Liam, but the real transformation came from their newfound confidence, from their joy of discovering the world. And Maya, discreet but powerful, was at the heart of this miracle. A few weeks after the twins' initial progress, Richard decided to host a small reception at the mansion. Business associates and close friends were invited for an elegant dinner, but Richard had only one thing in mind: to showcase his children's progress in some way. He wanted to share the joy that now filled the house, even though, deep down, he knew that the real magic came from Maya. By evening, the living room was sparkling under the crystal chandeliers. Guests chatted and admired the decor, while Maya got Ethan and Liam ready in an adjacent room. The children were dressed in their little party outfits, but more importantly, their confidence had grown. They were laughing and running around, eager to explore the world around them. Maya took out a favorite stuffed animal and gently invited the twins, "Who wants to come get Mr. Rabbit?" At that moment, Ethan took a step, then another, and suddenly, he was walking alone towards Maya, his eyes shining with excitement. Liam, encouraged by his brother, followed suit, staggering slightly but determined. The guests, witnessing this unexpected scene, burst into applause and exclamations of surprise. Richard, standing outside the door, felt his breath catch. It wasn't just the children's ability to walk that amazed him, but their sheer joy and newfound confidence. The twins' laughter, mingled with Maya's, echoed through the living room with contagious energy. Elizabeth, her eyes moist, whispered to Richard, "Look at them, it's incredible. All thanks to her." Maya, humble and discreet, congratulated the children without exaggeration. "Well done. You did it." The twins were now running around, exploring the spaces and laughing, completely absorbed in the pleasure of the moment. Richard felt a deep emotion he had never known before, intense gratitude for Maya and a renewed love for his children. He realized that this evening, planned to impress his guests, had become an intimate and unforgettable moment, a celebration of trust, patience, and love. For Ethan and Liam, walking was no longer a challenge. It was a game, an adventure, and a source of joy. For Richard, Maya had transformed not only his children's physical abilities, but also the soul of his family. And that night, everyone understood that the true magic lay not in the luxury of the mansion, but in the invisible bonds that united these four lives. The days following that memorable evening were filled with a new atmosphere in the Whitman mansion. Ethan and Liam's laughter echoed more frequently and louder, filling every room with contagious joy. Richard and Elizabeth began to notice something essential: their children's physical progress was inseparable from Maya's approach, her patience, her calmness, and her empathy. One afternoon, as Richard watched the twins play across the living room, he felt a mixture of gratitude and wonder. Maya sat on the rug at their eye level, gently guiding their movements and celebrating each small success. "Look, Ethan, he's trying to get the red cube." "Well done, Liam, you followed him all by yourself." Elizabeth approached him and whispered, "Richard, do you realize what she does for them? It's not just walking, it's giving them confidence." Richard nodded slowly. He finally understood that Maya wasn't just a nanny performing a task. She was a guide, an invisible pillar who transformed fear into courage, hesitation into curiosity, and reluctance into pleasure. One night, after the twins had gone to bed, Richard sat with Maya in the empty living room. "Maya, I want to thank you. You changed their lives, and you changed ours too. I never realized how limiting our approach could be." Maya, humble, replied gently, "Mr. Whitman, it wasn't me who changed them. It was them. I was just there to support them, to show them that they could do it at their own pace and while having fun. The credit goes entirely to them." Richard smiled, but deep down, he knew there was more. Maya had created a space where love, patience, and understanding reigned, something no amount of wealth or gadgets could provide. He understood that his family had found in her much more than just a helper, a true family member, indispensable and precious. Elizabeth, for her part, began spending more time with the twins as well, observing and learning techniques from Maya. The family dynamic had changed, the pressure was gone, replaced by trust and play, and the children were thriving like never before. This chapter in their lives marked a turning point. Richard understood that love and care were sometimes the most powerful keys, capable of transforming limitations into victories. And in the twins' hearts, every step now became proof that, guided by confidence and encouragement, they could accomplish the impossible. One summer morning, golden sunlight streamed into the Whitman mansion, illuminating the living room with a soft, reassuring warmth. Ethan and Liam played on the carpet with their usual toys, but something in the air seemed different. The children were focused, serious in their exploration, but their faces reflected a new, radiant confidence. Maya watched them closely, a small smile on her lips. "Today, little adventurers, you're going to try something special," she said softly, without imposing. She stepped back slightly, leaving an empty space in the center of the living room. Ethan took the first step. Then a second. Liam, inspired by his brother, followed, without holding Maya's hand or his brother's. They moved forward alone, sometimes faltering, but their eyes shone with excitement and pride. The roar of laughter echoed through the mansion, filling every corner with a joyful, contagious energy. Richard, who had been watching silently from the doorway, felt a deep, overwhelming emotion. He had never felt so much pride and gratitude at the sight of his children. For him, this moment was far more than just walking, it was tangible proof that trust, patience, and love could transform lives. Elizabeth, her hands clasped on her chest, watched her sons walk alone, her eyes shining with tears of joy. "They did it, they're walking," she whispered, her voice trembling. Maya knelt in the middle of the living room, welcoming them gently and calmly congratulating them. "Well done, you two, you did it." The twins were now running around a little, exploring the space, touching the furniture and playing with the objects around them. The fear had completely disappeared. That day, Richard understood the magnitude of the miracle. Maya had not only taught her children to walk, she had transformed their perception of the world and their relationship with themselves. She had given the twins a sense of security and freedom that no instruction or gadget could replace. In the hearts of the Whitman family, a new life had begun. The house now echoed with laughter, games, and confident footsteps. Maya, humble and discreet, watched with satisfaction. Her role was not only to help the children walk, but to enable them to fully blossom. For Ethan and Liam, the world finally opened up, vast and promising. And for Richard and Elizabeth, the miracle was complete. Their children were free, confident, and above all, happy. A few weeks after the miracle of their first steps, the Whitman household seemed to have changed dimension. Ethan and Liam's laughter echoed through every room, filling the mansion with vibrant joy. The twins explored the world around them with curiosity and confidence, climbing small stairs, playing with their toys, and most importantly, walking on their own without hesitation. Richard and Elizabeth, once preoccupied and stressed by their children's inability to walk, now found themselves watching them with pride and wonder. The family dynamic had evolved, there was more laughter, more togetherness, and a gentle, constant harmony that hadn't existed before. Maya, quiet but omnipresent, had become the invisible heart of this transformation. She guided the children with patience, gently celebrated each step forward, and subtly taught parents how to nurture their children's confidence and independence. One evening, Richard and Elizabeth decided to show their gratitude. After dinner, while the twins were asleep, they invited Maya into the living room. "Maya," Richard began, his voice thick with emotion, "we can never thank you enough. You changed their lives, and ours too. You have become indispensable to this family." Maya smiled, touched but humble. "Mr. Whitman, Mrs. Whitman, all I did was accompany your children. The real credit goes to them. But I'm happy to see they can finally blossom and be themselves." Elizabeth added, her eyes shining, "You are not just a nanny to us, you are a member of the family, a person who has brought love and trust where it was lacking." Richard, placing a hand on Maya's shoulder, nodded. "Exactly. Thanks to you, our children have discovered their courage. Thanks to you, our family is complete." In the weeks that followed, life continued with more laughter and games than ever. Ethan and Liam walked, ran, explored, and each day brought new discoveries. The Whitman mansion was no longer just a place of luxury and comfort, but a home where patience, love, and trust had created a true miracle. And at the heart of this transformation, Maya remained humble but essential, an invisible pillar who had given the family the most precious of things, the freedom to walk, self-confidence, and the pure joy of discovering the world together. Thus, the Whitman family had found not only walking, but also harmony and lasting love, thanks to an exceptional nanny who had been able to see beyond visible limits and touch everyone's heart.